Hey Christian, how you doing today, man?
Good. You got me nice and toasted with the arm workout. Be over here shaking.
Absolutely, man. Today, everybody tuning into the PPTC Fitness Podcast. I got Christian Haag. Is that how you say it? Haag. I mean,
like it fits. Cream, dude.
It fits the it fits the build too. He's jacked. He's a big dude. He was well into fitness in his early years. He's also a realtor. But let me not tell your story, man. You know your story better than I do. What's your background, man? Where do you come from? High school. Let's start from scratch. Where did you come from?
Start from high school. Well, I just said yesterday that I peaked in high school, peaked in 7th grade. That's not really high school.
Not really high school.
Yeah. Now I went to school here locally, Canterbury High School.
Okay. You went to Canterbury. I didn't know that.
Small private high school.
Awesome, man. Yeah, great school actually. Really.
It was an awesome experience because it was like such a small group. I think my graduating class was 38 people, something like that, 40 people. So we were all super close. We didn't have to deal with any kind of like bullying bullshit or anything like that. It was just real, low-key, a really great experience.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, we started such a small school. We started 6-man football. We're talking about like sports and stuff. We did a 6-man football team, and our spring training game was my first and last game ever. I blew out my knee.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's why I have such issues, man. Like my kneecaps dislocate so easily, and God, I remember that was so painful. There was actually one of the Canterbury parents was a doctor.
Did you tear anything?
I don't think I tore anything. But
so it just was like dislocating on you?
My patellas. It's happened 4 times in my right knee and about 5 times in my left knee.
Oh my gosh.
And it was the first time my left knee had dislocated. So when it's a fresh dislocate, everything has to it's like the first time it's pulling everything.
Yeah.
So thank God there was a knee and foot doctor that was in the stands watching his kid's game.
No way.
And he ran out on the field and had to put my leg back in place.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was my first experience with football, and I was playing center, and I just never played after that.
You're like, forget this game.
I was like,
broke my kneecap.
Well, it took so long for it to heal. I wasn't really walking right for over a month.
Oh, wow.
And, so I missed a bunch of games, and it just wasn't worth it. But I did play a lot of lacrosse. Played defense on lacrosse.
So did someone just like take you out from the side, or what happened?
So my legs hyperextend backwards pretty far. So
yeah, I've noticed that actually.
I was getting towards the end of the game. I was tired. So when I came up to block, I basically stood up straight and straightened out my legs and kind of tipped backwards, and I just fell over to the side, and it just that hyperextension. And I can still feel it, like even in college playing pickup ball or whatever we were doing. Just going to tweak it kind of the wrong way, I can feel it start to slip. And there's so many times where it's like, oh man, that was close. Like you can just feel it started. So I was actually telling Winter when I was doing pull-ups today, when I dropped down, I felt it just slip a little bit.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it's a little sore right now. So
oh wow, that's good. Just from the impact and not like thinking about, okay, let me land this where my legs aren't like straight in that straight position.
Yep. And I'm constantly thinking about it all the time, like even doing stupid stuff like getting out of my truck or into my truck, whatever. I have to make sure like when I hit the ground, like my knees are bent a little bit. Because if they're straight, it could happen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's happened literally walking before. I was walking out of the high school parking lot and my pants got caught over my kneecap, and my shorts pulled it out of place in the parking lot. So, yeah.
Your shorts pulled your knee out of place.
My kneecap out of place.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was about 95 degrees, middle of May or something like that, and I was laying in the hot parking lot by myself. Couldn't walk back to school. I had to call one of my buddies to come get me.
Leg. So you were, even after that injury, you said you played lacrosse after that?
Yeah. So the healing time, like the more it happened, it got faster and faster.
Sure.
So it kind of became like some people dislocate their shoulders, and like I got a buddy of mine. He dislocates his shoulder quite often, and it's just once you do it once, it like just wants to keep slipping.
It wants to go that way. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I could do this. Boop,
yeah,
boop.
So it's frustrating, but I really enjoyed lacrosse. I was decent at athletics. I was always a big kid, so I got winded easy all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I was either playing like goalie or defense. Like lacrosse, the midfielders, that was such an interesting sport to me because it's like midfielders, man, they just run the entire
non-stop,
all the way back and forth. And I just watch these guys like, crap.
Yeah. Wait, and what did you, just to be clear, what did you play in Lacrosse. Were you a defender?
I was a defender, yeah.
Okay.
So I played with the real long poles.
Okay.
I did play tackle a little bit here and there as I forget what the position's called, but basically you have all the guys on the outside of the net, and then you have the guy in the center, and they try to hit you with a quick pass, and then you try to score real quick. So that's the position I played. But I think my biggest takeaway from playing lacrosse in high school is I had a kid that was talking crap to me one time, and because I was so winded at one point, and I wasn't fat at that point. I just was big.
Okay.
And this kid, he was like, I'll never forget it. He was giving me crap, and I had real long hair, and he's calling me Shrek. And looking back, like I thought it was so funny.
Shrek.
It pissed me off so much. So I took my pole or my stick, and I just turned and I swung as hard as I could. I swear to God, my pole wrapped around his body like. Just calling a pole.
Whap.
My stick. I hit him so hard. I hit him in the center of the pole, and it wrapped around his body. Literally. I
Oh my goodness!
And he was literally on the ground wailing and crying. His parents came out on the field, and I don't know what words I can't say on this, but I was standing over the top, and I'm like, "You're a little." And his parents were there, and then we would fight with the parents. Oh man!
You're like, get off the. Your son can take care of himself.
Yeah, it was bad. My coach is.
Oh my goodness! So we were talking about midfield. Is that like similar to soccer? I mean, I never really played lacrosse. I played soccer.
Super similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, super similar. What's really interesting about lacrosse is usually in most sports you have the goal is on the end line, so you can't go behind the goal. But in lacrosse, it's like hockey. You can play.
You can go around just like hockey. Yep.
So I think
it's like
it's really
field hockey almost.
It's really a mixture of like hockey and soccer
on the field.
Wow. A lot of running, but what's cool about it, like hockey, is you can run into people full speed.
Right.
And just knock them down as
just
long as
crush
you're not
them.
extending.
Right. That's true. That's true. You just take people out, and that's perfect for you. You probably just ran through people.
It was a lot of fun. It's like I got winded quick. You know.
So let's go back to soccer. I mean, me and you just really formally, I would say, met a year and a half ago, but really we've known each other for a while because my dad coached you and my little brother, who's only 4 years younger than me, coached you both when you guys were younger playing soccer. And he described, maybe you can describe it a little bit better, because I just remember that he described you as like always, just like you said, the biggest kid on the field. Like he was a big kid, and I would just tell him to run through people, basically.
Yeah, I didn't have skill. Like I wasn't a good dribbler. Like I've never been like, even with lacrosse, like they dribbling. Like I had trouble with stuff like that. Like not super coordinated with that kind of stuff. But I was always used for my size. You know.
Yeah, of
I guess
course.
Even starting back playing with your brother.
Back playing with my brother.
I don't know. Like it's weird. Like I've always had a beard. Like I, no joke, started growing an actual facial beard in either late 7th grade, summer of, or 8th grade.
Jeez, man.
And it was just weird. Like I had the deep voice, like everything in 8th grade, and no one else did, and it was just kind of awkward, you know. Like puberty's weird. It's either it's weird when you're the first, or it's weird when you're the last.
Yeah, you don't want to be the first or the last. You want to be like the middle guy. He's like, I know what you guys are talking about. It sucks.
Yeah, I just always like. It was funny. My friends were always people that were older, you know. Like,
right.
I was more friends with people that were freshmen and sophomores at that point.
Makes sense.
Like, I don't know. I peaked early.
There's always a big kid. So, like when you got to high school, you said you played football. Is that and lacrosse? But is that all you did as far as sports?
I think in high school, yeah.
Did you get into powerlifting just yet? Did you get into weightlifting and all that?
Yeah, so it's actually I would attribute Canterbury to getting me into that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had a really nice training facility in there. It was kind of like
state of the art kind of thing.
It was super nice.
Yep.
So, it was really fun to always be the strongest. You know, like I remember when I hit 135 on bench for the first time.
Everybody's like, freshman year, probably, right?
Yeah, and I kind of got
throwing weight around.
I think it might have been freshman year. Yeah,
I'm sure it was. I got just throwing weight around.
I got obsessed with it. So it was like we would actually go in there when we weren't supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
And we would be weightlifting and doing stuff, and then one of the PE people would come through and be like, "Hey, you guys aren't supposed to be in here." I mean, we were going after school and kind of use it as our gym, and was just always trying to get stronger.
Yeah.
Got an early start, which helped a lot when I got to college.
Sure, man. Sure. So when where did you go? So you graduated high school. Where did you go to college? Did you have like a mindset on what you wanted to do, or?
So that's kind of a weird thing. I went to high school with a lot of really brilliant kids. They were really smart.
Yeah, Canterbury's got a lot of
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my best friends, they went off and are doing really awesome things. A lot of like big name stuff.
Sure.
And I always kind of felt like I think I graduated with a 3.6 GPA, which at Canterbury was considered dog crap. You know?
Right.
You know?
Right. If you're not
But
over a 4.0.
I just always saw the work as menial, and it didn't click with me. Schools never clicked with me. It's just never
Right.
been interesting to me.
Sure.
Now I'm on the subject of like grammar and writing and like English subjects. Always excelled. Like on my SAT, like that subject of reading comprehension and grammar
Crushed it.
was literally a perfect score. Like,
Oh, wow.
I really got it. And I had a teacher, he actually just recently died, Dave Hamway, who was
no way.
excellent grammar teacher. And
Yeah.
I got obsessed with it. Like just the fact of being able to form a sentence and knowing all the parts of, I nerded out on it. Like it was
That's
weird.
funny.
So I really liked it. And to me, like that's
Sometimes
the
that
biggest,
happens.
yeah, it's the biggest takeaway I took from that school, because the line of work I'm in now is all about communication and being able to write emails, you know, properly, and the content creation and stuff that I do. I think that's really helped a lot to be able to
Sure.
write properly. But yeah, that's probably my biggest takeaway from that school for sure.
Sure. So going into college, did you have a clear-cut idea of what you wanted to do?
Oh yeah, that's what we were getting at. So
No, you're fine.
My dad was a very successful real estate guy, especially back in the boom around here, early 2000s. They built a ton of houses. They were doing a lot of investing.
That's awesome.
So I always kind of felt like I wanted to follow in his footsteps and take over that business. So I didn't want to go to college really far away. So I ended up going to University of South Florida, which is only about 2 hours from here.
Yep.
I went there with my girlfriend at the time. I had probably 4 or 5 other high school friends.
Probably would have went to Edison
We
if
all
you
went
didn't have the
there.
girlfriend.
Yeah, we all went there, and I was majoring in business and marketing, and she went in. My girlfriend at the time had a year ahead of me, basically. She had credits from high school, or whatever. And when I got to year 3, I finished up year 3, and she was basically done with school, and I had to come home. Or she was moving back home, and I just was like at this crossroads in my life. I'm like, do I stay here for a year by myself and finish school, or do I move back and just get into real estate? And
Right.
at that time, I had made a huge sale. I sold $1 million house.
Oh,
And
wow.
It's when I was 19 years old, or 20 maybe, 19, 20 years old, to some Swiss people that randomly walked into the office when I was painting it.
No way.
And that's right when I started working with a builder, and it was just like kind of the grace of God. And that to me was like my message of like, leave school, you hate school,
Yep.
and just come do real estate and work in business. So
Start your life, man.
that's what I did.
100%. Why not?
So I didn't end up getting my degree. I'm short by 1 year, so 2 semesters.
So if you ever wanted to,
I've been
whatever.
thinking about finishing it online because it's like everyone does it online now.
Yeah, and
So-
it'd be super simple for you, man. If it's just credit based,
Yeah.
and you just want a bachelor degree or whatever,
It's just kind of like I went and spent all that money and all that time, and it's like
why not?
I don't
understand.
need it for what I do.
Yep.
But it would be just kind of nice.
Yeah, man.
And I think about that too for like, you know, future kids in my family or whatever. I think it would be nice just to be like, hey, like you guys got a college degree.
Yeah, and
personally-
it's just a feather in the cap, man. And you know,
That's all it is to me.
and what's awesome is that like you can also prove to your kids that you know you can be accomplished and actually get a degree and be disciplined, as well as you can also be free thinking and do your own thing. You don't have to be somebody else's, you know.
I'm a total believer in that. So the way
Yeah.
I think about college degrees now, and this is just my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
before it became so commercialized and how it is with business now, anytime you take government money and you throw it at something, it ruins it.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
what I mean by is the ease of being able to pay for college now. I get the intention, but think of it, so substitute a college degree for a napkin.
Okay.
Okay, just to get the college degree thing out of your head.
Right.
If you said back in, and I don't know the numbers, but I'm just saying early on, 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, when you had a napkin, you could get any job you wanted.
Right.
Like you were considered like brilliant, like you had a college
Oh,
degree.
he's the man. Oh, he knows what he's doing. Right.
Now you subsidize it where everybody can go out and get a college loan for a pretty decent interest rate, and you can go to any college, and it's not just the big universities anymore. There's 12 universities just within a couple zip codes here, you know, like all the Hodges and like all
It's
that
crazy,
kind of stuff.
man.
So anybody can go get their napkin.
Yeah.
So when you go to a job now, an employer, they don't really care that you have a degree
Nope.
because anybody can get it.
Yeah.
Now, where you got the degree from and what it's in, of course, that's going to change things. But I think it's easy to say now that it's not nearly as important to have that degree to do what you want to do. Plus, you've got stuff like this, like podcasting or
Yep.
YouTube video. Like that stuff never existed before.
Right.
There's a lot
Sure,
of people
for
making
sure.
a lot of money doing that stuff.
Yeah, man, 100%. And it's better to do something that you enjoy doing, because you're actually it's a long lasting thing if you enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and I totally agree with that. Like being able to start your own thing and do your own thing, and I think that employers now, like if you were to employ somebody, like if I was, because I own a business, so if I was to employ somebody, I'm not employing the guy that's just, oh, he has a degree, because I have a degree, a bachelor's degree in health sciences that's majoring in exercise science and wellness management. So I have a bunch of courses under my belt: injury prevention, post-op rehab, strength and conditioning. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But that doesn't mean that somebody like you can't come in, get some of the science down, the base science. You got to understand the muscles, you got to understand anatomy. So yeah, of course you would have to take a course like that. But as far as like learning the real logistics of it, I would rather have somebody who's more open-minded than being like, oh, I just learned this in college and this is what I know, this is how it's done.
Yeah.
Like
everyone memorizes to
wait a
pass
minute.
the test, man.
Right.
That's all it is.
It's not about memorization. There's a zillion different ways to do your legs. There's a
Right.
zillion different ways to do your hamstrings, quads, chest.
Exactly.
And there's not, and
no
of
right way
course,
to do it.
yeah, the form's got to be correct. Of
Yeah.
course, there's one way to do form, but there's not just one, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think for me, when I'm talking about college too, is I think and everything is perspective, right? Like that's my perspective on college, and probably because I went for a business degree.
Yep.
So I'm learning from people that have never run a business or are not currently running a business, a professor. And for the first 2 years, it's TAs, kids
Yep.
that are 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
They don't know anything.
Exactly.
And I knew more about business going into college than they did.
Right,
I was
because your
around
dad
it.
owned. Yep.
I was
Exactly.
around for my dad. I started cleaning the damn bathrooms in the place, like doing all that menial crap. And I did everything throughout that business. Like every job description that's
Yep.
part of that business, I did. And then I went into college and I was like, dude, this is so stupid. Like, why are these people teaching me about theory and like economic theory and stuff?
Time.
I came out of
Different.
3 years of college. I couldn't tell you a single thing about doing taxes. I couldn't tell
Right.
you about doing 1099s, filing as an S corp.
Yep.
How to do tax loopholes to save yourself money.
Right.
How to set up
Depreciation.
a business.
How to
All different ways to be a business, sole proprietor,
Dude.
corporate. Not a single thing.
Dude.
I could tell you about economic theory. That doesn't mean shit to anybody.
Theories are theories, right?
Yeah. So like, and Elon Musk, like, he did a great interview where I watched him too, and he said,
Great
you can
mind.
literally learn anything you want online now.
Oh, that's a fact.
Whatever you want to learn, you can learn it, and
100%.
probably for free, most of it.
So deciding on whether you wanted to continue with your college education or you wanted to go work for your dad, would you say like, your dad kind of paved the way, like for you to believe, like, man, maybe I should just do this because it worked for him? Like, is he someone like you looked up to like kind of follow that path? Is
Yeah.
that what is the ideal?
My dad was always a god to me.
Sure.
I mean, he literally was making millions of dollars a year, extremely successful with his group of people that he was with. Now, he's admittedly said, not to discount what he did, but it was the right people at the right time in the right economy.
Sure.
And they just crushed it. He said many times he doesn't think that'll ever happen again. And people that know this area, especially, really anywhere, but especially in Southwest Florida market, I mean, when you're building 3,000 houses a year, it's probably not going to happen again.
Right,
It
right.
was just a
and if
crazy
it
time.
does, it's going to be after a downturn, right? Where you
Right.
guys are able to buy such and such properties and able to fill them out and get it to the right people.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's possible,
it's
but
possible.
you don't want that downturn to where you'd rather be at a steady, slow instead of like that boom.
Yeah,
you know.
you can't really like count on being able to do with that. But I think
Right.
I saw that. I lived it. We lived a very great lifestyle, very comfortable lifestyle. I wasn't spoiled. Like when I went to Canterbury, it was funny to watch people get their first cars and they're these high-end BMWs and Mercedes and all this stuff.
Right.
I had kids that when they graduated, their parents gave them $20,000, $30,000 checks for graduating. None of that, and I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it.
Right, right.
And
Sure.
when I was a sophomore and I just turned 16, I was the only one except one other buddy that was my best friend at the time that had a job.
Wow.
Nobody had a job. Why the hell did they need a job? And I worked at
Right.
a restaurant and I hated it.
Right.
I hated going to work. And I would literally come home, I'd play Call of Duty for 30 minutes, I'd walk over to the restaurant, I'd bust tables.
So what do you think led to that mindset? Was it just like
My dad.
So was it? Did he like instill in you to like be your own man? Was that what it was? Like, you know, you make your own way. You're not living off of, you know, daddy's money, so to speak.
Exactly. He was very conservative, and thought that that was the way to do things. Now, if I wanted to go out with my buddies, I wouldn't be like, "Hey, Dad, can I have $50?" He'd be like, "Hey, man, you want like $50 to go out with your buddies?"
Right.
And I didn't like that, you know. So I was like, "Man, I'm gonna get a job and just do my own thing." So I think he was really smart about how, and I should give credit to my mom too, because she was part of that as well. But I think that they knew what they were doing in a backhanded way.
Sure.
And it was just nice to have my own money, and it felt good to be able to spend that money on things and know that I did it. Like my first car it had like 50,000 miles. It was a Jeep Commander, really a great car. Anybody would be lucky to have, but it wasn't a Mercedes.
Right.
It wasn't a brand new Mustang.
It's not what he could have bought
Right.
you at the time. Right.
Exactly. So
right. Sure.
It was always nice to be like that. And then when I got back from University of South Florida, I was looking to buy my first house, and I was 20 years old. I bought my first house, and my parents offered to give me $20,000 towards down payment and furnishings.
20% or 10% or whatever.
I didn't take it.
You didn't want it.
Like, why would I want to buy a house and
then you have that money in it? Right.
Doesn't
right.
make sense.
That
So,
doesn't.
like,
then it's not my house.
It's not my house.
Right.
So,
100%, man. 100%.
I think the problem with so many of today's kids and youth, not saying that everybody gets everything handed to them, but it's that entitlement. Like, oh, you're my parents. That's just what you do as a parent. Like, you should be.
It is what it
is.
is. Right.
And it should be like, no, like, it's not fun when you do that.
No.
It's like, so talking about cars, because like I'm super in cars. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
When I got rid of that Jeep, I wanted to do a Jeep Wrangler, and my parents financed and were paying for that monthly. Whatever it was, $400 a month or $300 a month. I don't remember. And that was probably 1920, and they were paying for my Jeep, and I was paying for all the mods to it myself, which was kind of fun or whatever. And then when I got my first Mustang and financed it myself and like paid for it, dude, it went from like, oh, I got a cool Jeep, I love it, to like I was in love with my car, because like it was like, that first time I was paying for it.
Yeah, of course.
So that's just always been. Man. I don't like help. I don't like charity.
Right.
To me, it's just not.
You want to grow on your own. You want to progress. And if you're giving me money, it's because you're investing in something we're doing with a company or a certain thing that you're working on or something like that. Yeah, that's actually investing inside your company, not giving money to you.
I'm the type of personality too where I don't care what people think about me. I honestly don't. I really don't care. But what I care about what I think about myself. So I don't want to get to that point where I get to a certain financial point in my life where I have to look back and have that voice inside your head that goes, "You didn't do that."
Right.
That's because of somebody else.
Yeah.
That would piss me off.
Yeah, man. You can, if it boils all down to it, what was held in your name is not a 100% in your name.
I want the credit.
Yeah, no doubt. So now you're a realtor. You work with your dad. Tell us what you do inside the company. Like, what's a normal day for Christian? What's your title? Where are you at now? Because this is what after college. This is fast forward. How many years now? Where are we at? Three years out of college? 3 years away? 4 years away?
About 4 or 5.
4 or 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years
so
out.
take me through that, from that time to this time. Now where are you at?
Yeah, so I had and I can look back on it now, I had a majorly transitional period in my life, majorly, and I was about 23, 24. I wasn't really doing much. My day wasn't, it was kind of depressing. I was out of college, I'm working for my dad, I'm doing menial real estate, and what I mean by menial is I was doing a lot of rental stuff. Our company's a property management company first and foremost, so we manage residential rental properties. So let's say you own an investment property that you want to rent out, but you don't want to deal with the tenants, you don't want to do it yourself, you don't want to find the tenants, collect the rent, deal with all the BS. You hire our company, we handle it for you, we take a fee out of the rent, and then we pay you your rent. So that's what we do, and we do it for about 700 properties.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a pretty big operation.
Sure.
It's definitely the largest in the area.
Oh, okay.
So, and we do all the way from Northport all the way down to Estero. So 3 offices.
Guys are everywhere, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So during that time frame, I was doing a lot of content creation, website building, really helping bring the company in 21st century as far as processes in the office. A lot of stuff was print things out, put it in folders.
not to cut you off, did we mention for everybody to know what your company name is?
Douglas Realty Property Management.
Okay, just making sure. Keep
Douglas
going.
Realty. Yeah. And Douglas was my grandfather's name, so he started it.
Awesome, man.
That's my middle name.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's cool, 3rd generation.
Heck yeah, dude.
So I was doing a lot of like tasks to kind of like streamline things, like for example, like our rental people, when they would go out and show rental properties, our rental list was printed on a piece of paper, and it would be outdated in like an hour as soon as something would rent. So put that to like Google Docs, everyone could get on their phone. It was just a lot of stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And once I kind of got it to the point where it was running pretty smooth, and like I kind of ran out of stuff to do almost about like when I was about 24, and I didn't have the confidence to go into like full-time sales, which is weird. Like it's just kind of this weird. I can't really explain why or how. I just wasn't doing it. And it was just this like real low point in my life, and that's when I was owning that house up in Northwest, and I was engaged, and
oh wow,
yeah, just out of nowhere that relationship went to crap. Had to sell that house, and now I'm back living at my dad's, and it was just like,
and it's just like, what am I doing, man? Like it's like you're going backwards.
That was the low point, man. Like depressed, got fat, like didn't want to do anything, and then of course winter walked my life about half a year later. And it's just been on the up since. So
yeah, winter's awesome, man.
Yeah,
definitely.
We moved in together, and that's when I just kind of got that drive under me, and I was like, you know what? I don't really care if I fail. I'm just going to go into sales full time, and we're just going to do this. And that would have been 2019. My title really became like head of sales because I started crushing it.
Okay.
So we were selling. We're probably selling 4 or 5 properties a month. We're building houses for our tenants, which is a really actually rewarding thing.
Yeah.
I think most realtors are just like super happy to get that commission. They don't really give a crap about you and get you in a house, and that's it.
Yep.
But what was really nice is we had these people that had been renting from us for 9, 10 years, our tenants.
Oh, wow.
Maybe in the same house, and they always come back to us. You know, we love you guys. You treat us well. It's nice.
It's awesome hearing that. Yep.
And then to get them to be a homeowner in like a brand new built house, and
dude,
it's pretty rewarding, and the pay is good. So it was kind of like a really nice niche that I fell into. And then
so you kind of like found your calling. Like, did you realize
Yeah.
you were better than you thought you were gonna be? Like, you just like you kind of got over like the initial fear of it, and then just started like, you know what, getting into that mode of like, hey, I don't really care what people think of me. I'm gonna go out. I know this is a good property. This is the property you need. Boom, here it is.
Yeah. No, I think that's what it came down to, and it was a matter of trying to figure out a program that worked for everybody. We're not taking too much money. They can get financed to build a house, and then they're moving in, and everyone's happy. And then late 2019, and then late 2019, I started getting into more investor stuff. So buying and selling a lot of property for investors. That's not really rewarding. That's more just straight business. These are guys that are like, hey man, I need the right deal. Like I need the right return. And then I had to learn about that. Like, how do you calculate cap rates? How do you calculate, your vacancy rates? Like all this stuff that investors want to know.
Sure.
And that's, my dad was very good at helping with that because he's worked with investors for many years. So he taught me how to do all that kind of stuff. And
yeah, man.
that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
It's it's like a different part of the business. Like no emotion, guys that can kind of be jerks, but I'm good at dealing with them now.
Yeah.
When you have low confidence, you can't because you're like kind of afraid of them.
Yeah, because they're being jerks. But
now they like, when you slap them around a little bit, they like it, you got to let them know like who's in charge.
Oh my gosh, like this guy's not a pussy. So
but now like we send Christmas cards to each other and stuff. Like it's kind of cool.
That's
to see
awesome,
that. Like,
man.
Good people, and I've helped unload a lot of people's portfolios. I've helped them grow their portfolios. I got a guy that's probably your age, a few years older than me. I just helped him buy his 5th rental property. So that's cool. Like
that's all. Yeah, allowing people to like jump on this house or this house.
Yeah, and then like I think what's really helped me, at least what I'm told with like clients and stuff, is they think I'm very compassionate towards people's situations. And what I mean by that is a lot of the houses that we sell are tenant occupied. So there's people living in a house on a lease, and we got to put it up for sale. So now the problem is you're gonna have people that want to come in and see the house, and there's people that just live in their house and going about their day, and they might be pregnant, they might have kids, they might be sick. Coronavirus, whole different story.
Right. I was just about to say that virus got to be killing you guys with that.
Put a kink in a lot of things, and
yeah, I'm sure, man.
what I've been doing is once the house finally sells, as a thank you for accommodating showings, I bring them like $200 gift cards and flowers, and they can't believe that somebody would do that. And to me, it's just like normal. Like, why wouldn't you do something nice for them?
Yeah,
you know, like I feel
absolutely.
that, you know, and when I sold that,
no doubt,
my original house, I'm renting right now, and actually today I'm excited because we're going to go talk about building a house with my uncle.
Hey, there you go. I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, but like,
That's
I'm
really
picturing
cool.
like if somebody was coming in to show my house, you know, like once a week, I'd be like, God, that sucks.
Yeah, of course.
It's just frustrating.
Yeah, of course,
So
man.
I feel bad, you know.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about you being in a family business, and obviously you like it to some extent. But since you're being a family, I mean, obviously you like it, right? Being in that family business. So where do you see you? Do you see yourself taking over in the next, 10 years or something? Like, is that something like you're looking forward to? Do you want to like grow it and then maybe have kids one day and give it to your son? Is that like something, or your daughter even, whatever it is? Like, is that something you're trying to do? Is that like your next goal?
I'm pretty divided on that.
Okay.
Which is interesting. You might expect me to be like, absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely.
Property management I'll just say it's a very shitty business.
Okay.
The entire time, and that's why there's not a lot of big property management companies. It's usually a subsidiary company of a real estate office that does management on the side for their investors.
Gotcha.
When you have it the other way, where you're mainly management office and then do sales kind of as a subsidiary thing, you are playing the middleman between tenant and property owner all the time. So let's just say you're a renter, you're renting your house, and your sink just every once in a while, like you put it up and it just sprays out, or like there's some stupid little thing that's not a crisis, but it's annoying and it really should be fixed. You call us up and say, hey man, like someone's got to come out and fix this. This is stupid. Like the sink every once in a while is spraying water everywhere. We call up the property owner and say, hey, this is what's going on. They go, no, if it's not a crisis, I don't want to fix it. I'm not fixing it. So then I got to call you and say, hey, we're not fixing it.
That's awesome.
You hate us.
Right.
The property owner thinks we're annoying for calling. You know what I'm saying? So it's this constant like middleman deal.
Yeah, you're getting crushed every time from both ends.
Yeah.
Right.
So although I don't deal with that, I'm more on like
sales
management basis. Like we have people that do that for us.
Okay.
That being said, it is a tough business.
Mm-hmm.
There's, especially in this area, there's a lot of competition that do it at cut rate. And I'm sure you deal with the gym stuff. You got someone else that does it $20 cheaper.
100%.
People are going to go do it $20 cheaper.
Everywhere.
And they get trash service,
right.
trash trainer. And then a year they come crawling back and like, hey,
Exactly. Every dude, you ain't kidding. And you're business amplified. You ain't kidding. That happens all the time.
Yeah, and we're not the most expensive.
No.
And that's why I tell people, and we're not the cheapest.
Right.
Like we just straight
You're
up. You're
paying
really
for
good.
what you get. You're
really
paying
good at
for
what we
great
do.
service, and it's a great price for the service we give.
And it's kind of a funny internal thing in our office. Like when people do that, they might have 10 properties and they go somewhere else cheaper where they're saving $10 a property a month, and they come back every time. And
Right.
It's like,
because it's not working out for them.
and we've gotten to the point too where you might call it cocky, but we'll literally say, or at least I do, because I just don't really care anymore. I just say like, all right, well we'll see you in 6 months. We'll see you. You're going to come back in 6 months, I guarantee it. And they do it every time, because I know these places that they're going,
Right.
And they're garbage. And actually,
You're
I don't
trying,
get too far off the main point.
but you're still trying to save them. You're like trying to save them more
you
than
really
anything.
are, because I know what they're going to go through. And we've acquired 3 property management companies we didn't have to pay for, because
Oh, wow.
their owners are either currently in jail or literally out of country.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, running. They took people's security deposits. Like when you're a tenant and you pay your security deposits,
Yeah.
they stole them.
They just took off with them.
Your property owner, they would tell them, "Hey man, your property hasn't rented." And they're like, "Well, it's been 3 months on the market. It hasn't rented." Oh, it's been rented for 3 months, and they're just taking the rent. All kinds of scams.
No
Hey Ronnie,
way.
your property needs a new air conditioner. It's $5,000. Send it in. Never replace the air conditioner. Just take the money. I mean, bad stuff. So it's,
Dude.
and people know this. Like property owners that come to us know that this is what happens. So every phone call when there's a new client coming on, they all think we're the biggest pile of crap, and that gets a little tiring after a while.
Of course.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
man.
It's hard to be in sales on that end.
Yep.
Because everyone just thinks you're an asshole.
Sure,
And
man.
It's a 45-minute conversation of like, hey man, that's not what we are, and I gotta explain it. It's like I want to put it on a recording and just hold it up to the
Yeah,
phone.
just like
I say the
yeah,
same.
yeah. 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah. Exactly. But as far as like all that being said, I think my dad is starting to go into retirement mode.
Okay.
He just turned 60. He's been on vacation for 2 months now. So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Have you just been running the show?
pretty much, yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's funny. I think a lot of the employees, he's kind of an MIA a lot of the time. He's up in like the woods and just.
He's trying
I think
to
he's cracked
zone
out. You know?
That's awesome, man. Good for him.
So they're starting to come to me with a lot more bigger decisions, asking for advice on things.
You're
Handling
probably
crisis.
loving that, oh man.
It's nice.
Is
I
it?
enjoy it.
So let me ask you something. Not to cut you off, but you're saying you're more of a property management business. Is there any way? Obviously it's not your business, so this would be something to discuss with your dad. But do you have an idea, or is there any way you can kind of transfer how the business runs and go into more sales?
It's funny you say that.
Okay.
Just yesterday was a pretty big thing for us. We're starting a whole new sales campaign and kind of a rebranding, relaunching of our sales division. So we just put a ton of money into Zillow advertising that me and a team of agents are doing. That they don't really have great returns. Zillow, honestly, we get kind of garbage leads. It's a lot of people that are just at home drinking a beer that are like, hey, this property looks nice, I might want to buy this. And then,
Click. Yeah. And then nothing happens.
The nice thing about real estate is you can put $10,000 into advertising and it takes, and you get 150, 200 leads out of it. It just takes 2 of those people to buy a house and then you paid for your advertising.
Right.
Because the money, it's big money.
It's there. Yep.
So
Makes sense.
that's what's nice about that.
Sure.
But what's really cool, and we're finding there's a lot of people that are still really old school that live here. Obviously, it's an older population, especially like
course.
out in Lehigh and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Where
definitely.
We're doing what's called business reply mail, and anybody that has a business could consider doing this. That you could maybe model your business might model right with this type of thing. But it's basically 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and it has and it folds up, and it comes as like a letter. And the bottom portion they can tear off, and they can fill out information on it, and then put it in their mailbox. It's already pre-postage paid. So you basically set up an account with the USPS. You give them money, like an account that they can pull money from every time someone mails it back. So basically, it's like, hey, do you want to know the value of your property? You thinking about maybe selling it? You thinking about maybe investing? You thinking about maybe buying a house? Just fill this out and send it back, and it works really well. Like I know other real estate guys that do it, and it has a high return rate. And I think we're putting like 3,000 out this month just to see what we get.
Wow.
So just finished designing that. Right now our market is just so hot, like it's crazy.
It's hopping right now, and you wouldn't think so with the pandemic and
think what it was,
everything
though,
going on. Like
I think a lot of people were ready to buy early this year, and then all of a sudden
halted because of the pandemic.
I had 4 properties that were under contract in March. So I had 4 sales in 1 month. Like it was going to be a really good month for me.
That's a great start.
All 4 fell dead. So when you've got $15,000-$20,000,
That's when you start breaking things.
You're like, oh, I got all this money coming in.
Right.
All of a sudden, it's to zero. I don't get a salary.
Right.
I don't get a paycheck. I get nothing.
Right.
So you're ready to live a lifestyle that is going to give you that kind of money, and then all of a sudden it goes to zero. But unselfishly, I got to think about all those people that were wanting to buy a house and lost their job. They're probably at the end of their lease.
Sure.
And all of a sudden they're telling the property owner, hey, I'm moving out, I'm buying a house. All of a sudden they lose their job. Where the hell are they going to do?
Right. That's big.
And none of those buyers were mine. Other agents brought them to me.
Still though, they're still in, all those families are in that situation.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I could have asked them personally, like, what the hell are you going to do? Like, maybe we could put them in a short-term rental, like whatever.
Yeah.
So it sucked for me, it sucked for them. Obviously the pandemic sucked for everybody.
Man. Yep.
Unless you were
you guys were basically closed, and exactly.
You were a toilet paper manufacturer doing pretty well.
That disinfectant spray and wipes.
Yeah. Poor Randy, right?
Poor Randy, exactly. Permanent markers.
Oh my God. So that was rough, and that was like 2-3 months of that. Yeah, a little inside joke there.
Jeez, man, I can't stop laughing. Oh my goodness.
That was rough, and I think you had all those people that then got their jobs back when things normalized, and were able to get those loans again, and it just all at once. And then what happened too? Not a lot of people are talking about 100% what a lot of this is. A lot of our buyers here now are from big cities, Tampa, or not really Tampa necessarily, but like Miami. Humongous influx.
I know a bunch of people came from New York.
New York was a big one. Chicago, like California, they don't want to be
in those places.
Big cities, that crack down like
completely can't do nothing. Right.
So they were done.
Yep.
I had a buddy of mine, TJ, who was looking to buy a house. He wanted a pool home under 300. It's probably a month ago at this point.
Okay.
And pool house under 300 Cape Coral is, you can find them. That's not that bad. And a lot of people that might be listening from all over the country are like, oh, pool house for under 300. Like, our property value here is so much lower than a lot of places in the country.
Yeah.
People can't believe what you can get here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But those types of houses were going so fast that we would have to bring the laptop in the truck after we saw the house, and if you liked it, I would hotspot and write up an offer right there.
Wow.
Because by the time we would get home,
Somebody would already be on it.
It was under contract.
Oh my God.
Like, I have never experienced that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anything that I put up for sale, same day. Like, it was under contract immediately.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, so it's eased up a little bit right now. It's kind of normalized a little bit.
People are still, we're about to go into Christmas soon too, so people love.
The election is a big one.
Oh, I'm sure, man. That's
So people are kind of
Just-
worried about that.
yeah. You got a month. Yeah,
I think, and I always have to tell people, like, I'm not giving investment advice, but when you look at FHA delinquencies, people that are on FHA loan, typical's under 6%.
Yep.
We're close. I forget what it was. We're somewhere close to 16 or 20%. There's a lot of other indicators. Me personally, I think we're going to take a pretty big market correction, also known as a big dip
Yep.
in value, probably end of Q1, early Q2 next year.
You think so?
That's just what I'm feeling.
Now, what if, let's just say that after this election, that you don't hear about COVID too much anymore. What happens then? You think? You still think there's a correction?
Yeah, I think it's unrelated to COVID. We're usually in like a 7-year cycle.
Usually, yeah.
You can kind of nerd out and look at the data.
We've been even a little bit higher for a little
Yeah.
too long, actually. Really.
That's what it is. We're not in 2007.
Right.
market, and that's what we were talking about earlier, where it was just nuts.
Yep.
We're not really there.
2007, and then like you said, when it was nuts, what happened right after that?
Yeah, tanked.
Yep.
So you see a lot of investors right now starting to liquidate.
Makes sense.
A lot of people that are wanting to get rid of their portfolios, and they're just holding on to their cash, because then what happens is it takes a big dip, and then you rebuy.
And then you rebuy everything for cheap.
Yeah. So
Smart.
that's actually
It's
what
smart.
That's what I'm personally doing. Now, normally wouldn't be the time to buy for an investment because of where we're at. So
Right.
you're kind of buying towards the top of the peak. I just had a good situation where I know a property owner where he's giving it to me for what he owes. I'm getting it at like a 20%.
You get that situation. Yep.
So I might put someone in there to rent it for a few months, or I know a buddy that's looking for a place to live. Might do something like that, and then just do it, and then flip it and sell
Yep.
it. But that's just personally what I feel.
Yeah, man. No, it makes a lot of sense. So you do so much throughout your days, man, and it's funny because that's not all you do. You also do some side things. I mean, you got a huge Instagram following, Wakey 5.2. All right. Well, first of all, how'd you get the name? I got to hear about the name, okay? And then, let everybody know how you got the name, and then, why did you start building this following? Like, what inspired you? Obviously, you love your car, but is there anything else? Like, or did you just start doing it and people are like, hey, I like this dude?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
First of all, the name.
There's a lot there. Yeah. The
name.
name was the name's so stupid. The way we came up with it. I had just bought 2017 Mustang GT and picked it up, and the night I got home, I ordered a Corsa exhaust for it. Really high, well-known exhaust company, and got the loudest one that you can get, of course. Threw it on that thing, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And I made a YouTube video. I made my first YouTube video about it, and it got like 250,000 views about this exhaust system, because at that time, it was a relatively more new Mustang. It was still an S550.
Looked awesome.
I loved it, man. I hated it when they first came out, but when I saw it in person, I was like, "Damn, that thing is like
Gotta
wide
do
and it looks good." So
got a big booty.
yeah, it had a big ass booty. So my buddy and I took it out.
Roy liked that.
Yeah. I see him laughing.
Roy likes the booties.
Who does? I mean, come on. So we took this thing out at like 7 in the morning. I don't know what the hell we were doing, going to breakfast or going to a car show or something.
Sure.
And I just fucking laid into it, like in the neighborhood, like first gear, and just like
Ripped the
burnt it down
eardrums off of
street.
everybody.
And my buddy was with me, and he's like, "Wakey, wakey, Cape Coral," and he screamed
Wakey,
out.
wakey, no
I was like,
way.
damn, I like that.
No way. That's what
Yeah,
it's from. I
that's
never
what it is.
asked, dude. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wakey,
So I was like,
wakey.
all right, whatever. And then people were like, "Well, is that like your nickname or like the name of your car?" And I'm like, "I guess both. Like, I don't know." So and then it
This
kind of
is
just became
this is
my
the nickname of my boom.
Yeah, right.
This is my startup.
Yeah. So the car was just gonna be like a fun. So I was into cars like early on. My dad doesn't know jack shit about cars. Doesn't care about them.
Really?
Yeah. doesn't
That's
care at all.
interesting.
But his uncle, my great uncle, was a GM mechanic up in Wisconsin, and we spent summers up there.
So it's in the blood.
It's in the blood.
It's in the blood.
And he taught
You're
me
there.
a bunch of stuff about it.
Yep.
My dad was making good money. He bought, went to the dealership. He bought 3 cars at once. He got a 78 Trans Am, a 65 Mustang Fastback, and a 72 Mustang Fastback. And took them all. We had to like get one of our, I forget who. He got a buddy or someone
To help.
to help drive them all home. We had these 3 cars just sitting
That's
in the driveway.
awesome, man. That's awesome.
And yeah, it was a good time growing up with that stuff, man. It was fun. And the 72 Fastback was kind of like my little baby. It was white, beautiful car. We had the engine rebuilt in it. And that's when I was working as a sophomore, that's what I was putting my money into. I spent $4,000 on an engine rebuild. At the time, that was like crazy money, but what wasn't doing with my money, you know?
Right.
So I brought that car to Starbucks one day, and the damn thing lit on fire in the parking lot. Literally caught fire. And I had to call the fire department. I ran to Starbucks. I ran to Starbucks and I ripped the fire extinguisher out of the thing and went in and was hitting the thing with the fire extinguisher. They had to come like hit it.
Holy.
One of the fuel lines cracked and leaked onto the engine and blew it up. And the whole hood was ruined, the whole engine, everything was ruined. So we rebuilt
Well,
it.
it sounds like someone I know's luck with cars.
That is just like my luck in a nutshell, obviously. As you know.
Just like my luck this morning.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like really got me into him. And this Mustang that I have now that got me following was supposed to just be like a fun weekend kind of deal. Or actually, it was going to be my daily driver because I wasn't doing anything really crazy to it. And the fender flares that I have on it now, the guy that builds them, I saw him post about them. I was like, damn, those are really nice. And I saw a car with them already installed in Texas. And before I bought the car I have now, I actually flew out to Texas. I was going to buy that car. Guy makes me fly all the way to Texas, get all the way there, get a number that we agree on. I go all the way back, get the paperwork started, and he calls me up. He goes, yeah, I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to keep it. So to this day, I could just punch that guy through the side of his head.
He made you fly
Flew all the way out
to
there.
Texas.
I was in Texas for 22 hours. I stayed overnight.
In
I test drove
Fentanyl.
it. Yeah, we were on the Texas highways doing like 180, dude. It was so much fun.
I'd have been so pissed.
I was so pissed.
I'd have been so pissed.
But in retrospect, it's the best thing that ever happened because I got to
Right.
do it myself.
Right. True.
So
True.
we built this thing from scratch, and when I saw those fender flares for sale, because he barely, he doesn't make them very often. He does more so now than he did before, and I was like, all right, dude, we're building this car. But that was at a time where I think everyone on Instagram was very basic in what they were posting, just kind of like cell phone pictures of their car or whatever.
Yep.
And I was just like doing things differently. So people are sometimes worried about putting their personality out there, like on social media and stuff. And I think that's a mistake if you're trying to grow. And,
Yeah, sure.
like one of the big things that that I'm known for on there is just my ridiculous screaming and ranting and stuff that I do on my stories.
Yeah.
And like that's not me. It's a face. Like,
Right.
I'm not like that 24/7.
No, you're definitely not. You're
I'm
definitely
not
more laid
intense all the
back.
time.
No, you're definitely laid back.
Way more laid
For
back.
sure.
So I
For
think
sure.
people think I'm just certifiably nuts,
No,
But it's
just
fun.
slightly. Just when you need it.
Just when you need it, yeah.
Just when you need it. Like when, people drive 20 miles an hour in the left-hand lane into 55.
I'm a very fast driver. The last time I got a speeding ticket was when I was 17. So
Whoa, wow.
my,
Look at you.
but I'm always at least 10 or 15 over. And my philosophy is, I don't think it's that hard not to get a speeding ticket. Like you just look where the cops are going to be sitting in the medians. I always keep my eyes out, and you don't get a ticket.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. And there's times that don't call for speeding.
Right.
Heavy traffic. You
Yep.
don't want to cut people off and stuff. So
Of course.
driving around here with all these retired people, it drives me absolutely nuts. So that's where a lot of the anger stems from.
Yeah,
Not
they,
like-
they cause all that accidents, I feel, man. They're so
Yeah.
bad.
And for like work with our offices all over, and we're doing from Northport down to Estero.
Oh,
I'm
gosh.
always
You gotta
driving.
drive everywhere. Yep.
And I just sometimes I get home at the end of the day, I'm like, what the hell
Why
is
did I-
happening?
Why did I just
ridiculous.
drive all day?
That's like one of my big sayings that I always say is, where are you not going?
Right. That's what I say. And if they're old, then I ask them this. Do you want to spend the rest of your life in the car? Like, geez. Like, don't you got something to do?
Clock sticking in. I just pray that when I get to that age that I'm not going to do that. Be like,
Yeah, you're going to be that asshole that it's just...
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing about why I wanted to grow the page, and I still actively try to grow it, there's 2 reasons. One, and I don't think anybody would want to normally admit this and say it, but it's nice to have a big following. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like people care. There's that
Sure.
element to it.
Sure.
Is that my number one reason? No. Honestly, number one reason is sponsorships. There's a lot of people out there in the car world that I know have bought their followers and buy engagement. There's ways to do that.
Yep. They just they don't appeal to who is interested in them and wants to actually get into their business. They literally just look for likes or someone to follow their page.
Yeah, and you can look at a page and be like,
okay, yeah,
that's fake.
Yeah, if
It's
he's got 20,000 followers and 2 likes,
no, none of that. And then it's like there's no personality. It's a basic car. Pictures kind of suck.
Right.
People want something that, like, we're just humans that sit there on their phones like this all the time, and we're looking for that dopamine.
Something
hit.
fun. Yep. Something fun.
And you want to see something that's like,
Sure,
that made me happy. Or like,
sure.
That's funny.
Yeah, man. Exactly. That's why you do it.
I get asked this all the time, like, how much money have you put into your car? It's probably upwards of $60,000, I would say, and probably 20% of that cost, 25% of that cost, maybe more, has been mitigated through sponsorships.
That's amazing. See,
from a straight financial position, if I can have fun on social media,
why not?
And I got these companies supporting me, why on earth would I not do
why
that?
not? Yeah,
Like, one of my
100%.
bigger sponsors, Diode Dynamics, are a 100% sponsor. I don't pay $1 for any of their stuff. And for my truck, they just sent me $1,020 worth of their shit, and that didn't cost me anything.
That's amazing.
That's not even including my Mustang.
That's amazing. That's amazing, dude.
You add up all the parts. Like, I see the invoice and it doesn't cost me $1. So I'm having fun. I get to showcase their product, and I don't work with companies that I don't like.
That's awesome. That's great.
I talk about this all the time.
That's how you should do it, though. You know.
Yeah. And
like,
this could be a no.
That's why people always be crying, like, "Oh, this company needs to go away because they support this or this." They just don't buy their stuff. Like, if you don't like Amazon, don't purchase from Amazon.
Yeah,
if you don't like, it's not that hard.
There's a lot of scummy aftermarket car companies, in my opinion, that I've seen take advantage of people, steal money from people, always send in the wrong parts, like just BS, and I don't mess with
So
it.
messed up. Yeah, it's so messed up. You want to have that consistent thing. So, so thanks for so much, man. You've been such a great to have on here. But before we go, I want everybody to kind of get an idea of what you want to do. Where do you want to leave your mark? Where do you want to leave your legacy? Have you thought about that? And basically, in the next 10, 15 years, where do you want to be with your life? Obviously, I'm sure you want to be married, maybe have a kid. Like, where do you see yourself being? Do you see yourself turning this realty thing around, starting your own? Like, where does Christian want to leave his mark?
So the big question.
It is.
It's a good one, though. I would say, I think like most people, I want to find my way and know that for me, finances are really big. It is important to me. I want to make sure that I'm comfortable, that I'm not always worrying about money. Because there's been times in my life where, because I don't ask for help, where I literally don't have any money. Like,
right.
I've been at that point where I have
Me
$300
as well, bro.
in my account.
Me as well.
And
bro.
not even that long ago. Like, relatively speaking.
Yeah, no.
Really hard times.
As you're running, because you're almost like running, not to cut you off, but you're almost running like your own business. You're running like your one-man show, even though you're inside your family's business. If you, like you said, if you don't sell out, you're not making what you need to make.
Subcontractor.
Right.
It is a bit. You're right. Exactly.
You're your own business. Yeah, you're your own guy. So we're in the same boat. But keep going, man.
I want to. I never want to like have to feel that again.
Yeah.
And I try to keep that constant philosophy in my head where if I'm getting these big sales coming through and these checks coming through, I kind of pretend like that money's not there.
Sure.
It's a fine line of never enough, and I'm satisfied. So in 10, 15 years, I want to be to that point where I've got enough investing going on. I've got enough, income sources from other sources or wherever.
Sure.
Rental properties, whatever, enough like flipping houses, sales that I'm doing. Where I'm not uncomfortable, where I can have a family and I know my mortgage is paid, and my kids can get the lifestyle that they want.
Absolutely.
But I don't want to make the mistake that I see other parents do. I want to do it how my parents did it, where I leave that mark to my kids, where they are going to work for what they want.
That's awesome.
And a lot of people might think too. Not a lot of people might think like I was really pressured by my dad to work for him, or I felt like I had big shoes to fill. Of course, I feel like there's big shoes to fill, but he has made it clear a million times, and I would want to do the same with my kids, that he doesn't care if I went and detailed cars for a living and made 20 grand a year. He doesn't.
100%.
Literally, as long as I'm happy.
Yep.
So I think that the business that I'm in, it's relatively, I shouldn't say rare, I'm in the minority 100% for people in my career field.
Okay.
A lot of people are much older than I am. I'm at a big disadvantage because I'm younger. So people think I'm not that experienced.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
I got that. I got that a lot, dude. I
Yeah.
got that a lot going into my business. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
you
you know
know,
what it's like.
I'm 4 years in now, but now I'm also 30, married, and have a kid. So people look at me a little different. So I totally understand where you're at.
Yeah,
I mean, the gray beard's starting to help a little bit.
Yeah,
Though. So you
it
should,
helps.
hey, just look at this.
Stress.
How old are you? Just look.
Yeah. Well, it's a different lifestyle, and that when I was talking about when you asked like where do you see yourself or what's the mark or whatever, like it is a pretty stressful deal.
Sure.
You could either pick going to your 9 to 5 and making your hourly thing and it's pretty comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You might be an exec at a bank and you're still making 10 grand a month and you're still 9 to 5 and that's really comfy.
Sure.
But what's nice about I don't have a schedule. I can do this today.
Yes.
I could take 3 weeks off if I want to. I don't have to work.
Right.
And to me, that's everything.
Yeah, it's so much better to want to do something because then you're actually productive in doing it.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite sayings that I like to live by is you don't count the hours, you make the hours count.
Exactly.
Right? And like you could put in a 4-hour day, you can sell $1 million house and make the commission off that.
Yeah.
And not work for 3 days, and that's somebody's monthly
Right.
or 2 weeks.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And I
It's
think
like
there's a lot of motivational people out there that will grind, work. Tell if you're not in the office at 6 in the morning, you're not there till 10 at night. Like I think some of that's a little over the top.
yeah,
I
sure.
get like you got to work hard and you got to get to a certain point, but once you're like at a certain point where you are currently comfortable, just relax for a little bit and enjoy it, and then you can take that next step.
Let me put a little twist on that. I totally agree with you, and I think the statement should be obviously you work hard when you work, but I think the statement should be you need to be disciplined.
and efficient.
Yes, because if you're disciplined, if I know I'm waking up at 10 instead of 5, but I got at 10 I'm gonna wake up, and then at 11 I'm gonna be here, and we're making all these deals back to back to back, and then I'm going home.
Yep.
Like that.
Because it's a fine line. I don't want to look back and be like, God, all I did was work.
Exactly.
And that's the thing too. I haven't went on a vacation probably in 3 years.
Me either, man.
Just don't.
Yep.
And I'm okay with that because I vacation enough in my daily life.
Yeah,
Does that make
man.
sense?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not like when
You-
you're working your ass off and you're like, oh my God, I need a break, and you're just feeling like this all the time.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
I feel
And I
very
need to
relaxed.
go to work. No, it's like, you know what? I need a rest, and then I'm gonna go work hard. 100%.
And I want to leave that
I love
idea
that.
to my kids.
Yeah.
Of idea. Like I feel like
Let them know they can
that's just
think
the way
for
I wanna be.
themselves.
You know?
Yeah.
And if they want to do their own thing and want to be a doctor and they're working long hours or whatever, then so be it. I don't really care.
Whatever you want to put your heart into and whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
As long as, and I think it was the same for my dad, as long as there's no lazy factor and you're kind of a useless person, as long as you're not that.
yeah,
I don't
as long
really
as you're
care.
striving to do something and be something better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that motto,
There's,
man.
people that are sitting around on welfare checks and stuff, and every time I go to pay my taxes every year and I think about that, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who need it, but
100%.
for the majority, there's
A lot of people
there's
that
always
use it.
somebody in a bad situation that we can definitely get out of it if there's just something applied, And there's so many people who do elaborate things, or some people in jail who create these crazy things to be able to eat with or be able to do
Yeah.
things with, and dude, if you just put that into like something that's would be good for the world. I mean, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you can do things. You wouldn't be there.
Exactly.
It's so crazy to watch. Thanks so much, man. Before we go, I want to tell a funny story about cars. So Roy, I don't know if I ever told you this story. I gotta do it, bro. I gotta do it. Of course, Randy was there. I wasn't there. Randy was there. This man, one of his first cars ever. Okay, Randy's riding with him, hanging out, because him and Randy went to the same school and played baseball together. He went through the car wash, and you know how a lot of those car washes have those huge fans at the end? There's like boom, and like your whole car like shakes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like his car wasn't 100% put together the way it was supposed to be. So when he went under there, he just started seeing shit fly off. And my brother, dude, the way my brother described it was like he was going, shit, what the fuck's going on? And he like couldn't move, you can't get out of it because it makes you stop.
Oh my God.
Dude,
That is classic.
Roy lost like half his car.
And they weren't gonna pay for it or nothing.
No.
We are not responsible.
We're not
What
responsible.
was the car?
Oh my gosh.
2000 Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. PBTC Fitness podcast. Thank you, Christian, for everything you've done. Douglas Realty, you can find him.
Just Google us.
Yeah, just Google you guys.
Cape Coral, Fort Myers.
Yep,
Lehigh.
and follow him on Instagram if you like cars, Wakey 5.2. Just keep growing that following, man.
Yeah, working on it, man.
I'll have you back on here in a few months. We'll see how it's going. All right, buddy?
Thank you.
You have a good day. See y'all next time.